Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about this article on Screen Rant. If the Acolyte's review bombing reminds you of the prequels, there's a good reason for that.
That's right, because you're all a bunch of crappy people like the ones who didn't like the prequels.
I just, look, I want to be clear before we get into the video, and I've said this before because I know our thumbnails have showed up, and Red Letter Media did a video saying if you don't like it, don't watch it. And they were serious. I mean, they weren't being facetious about it or whatever.
Well, I didn't watch the video. I just saw the clip.
Yeah, I saw the clip, and they were like, look, you don't like the shows, don't watch it. He's like, I don't like new Star Trek, I don't watch it. But it's so weird that they actually brought our videos up because I'm not watching it. I'm just making fun of it.
Well, not just that, you said you don't care.
I don't care. I really, truly don't care. Like, to me, as far as I'm concerned, nothing that Disney has put out is actual Star Wars. Only the stuff that George Lucas made is Star Wars. That being said, we can point and laugh at just how dumb and silly it is.
That being said, didn't they get big making fun of the prequels?
That is true. Yes,
I'm just okay.
They did. There are
for
some,
me, but not for me. Get it?
There are some other people in the nerd space that have gotten big off of roasting.
Like Kevin Smith,
other pop culture. Yes,
but not the new guy, the old guy.
Old Kevin Smith.
Right,
yes,
right.
Yes, he died. He died of a heart attack, and then new Kevin Smith came back.
That's
and
right.
took his place. Yeah.
Okay. Look. Here's my thing. Is what I react to is the media and their bullshit. And here's another real winner of a load of shit right here. So Screen Rant put this thing about, and it goes on. Just wait till you see this one.
Okay.
It goes up, review bombing reminds you of the prequels because 5 years after the last prequel movie came out, people went and review bombed it.
What?
I'm not shitting you. That's what this whole thing's about.
Well, yeah, because you couldn't really review. Okay, so, being of a certain age, I was there when the prequels dropped, when they came out in theaters. And I do remember I was actually on the some of the Star Wars forums. Forums were a thing back then, and I remember that opening weekend, people were actually pretty happy with The Phantom Menace, and then they decided they weren't happy with it, and then the media actually started the whole narrative of Jar Jar Binks being a racist caricature. That never came up on the fan forums. That was like ABC News and stuff. Like, oh my God, Jar Jar Binks is a racist stereotype. How could you work on this, Ahmed Best? This is horrible. And he was actually happy with it.
But they're going on they're talking about the typical vitriol and hatred toward the Acolyte. It's unfortunately nothing new for the franchise.
Well, yeah, it's Star Wars.
They had the people versus George Lucas.
The people versus George Lucas, the anti-George Lucas episode of Clerks.
Part of the reason that he sold it was because he got tired of people's shit. 100%. If they're being fair and honest. Okay, that being said, their whole argument, keep going down. Their whole argument was, the prequel trilogy was review bombed on Rotten Tomatoes because it sat at 85% until late 2010, and then it dropped in 2011 to 64%. Now, it is weird. There was less than 200,000 votes before, and then there was 32 million votes.
I think people started realizing that they could vote against movies. I think a lot of people weren't using Rotten Tomatoes, and I think one thing I've seen is some older movies, they started dredging up old reviews that weren't included before because they were like in the newspaper. Yeah, right?
Oh, that's true. Yes.
Back in the day, we didn't have all the reviews online. Like, you look up a movie like Transformers the movie, 1986, one of my favorite movies of all time. And it's objectively not the best movie ever made, and it's definitely for fans of the show, but it's a pretty good, comparing it to other toy movies of the era, it's actually probably the best of the bunch, right? And the reviews were absolutely terrible because they were all like newspaper reviews, and people were like, I don't understand this. It's a bunch of robots getting killed and some heavy metal music, and what the hell's going on here? But they started bringing more reviews up as they would find these archives of these old newspapers, or somebody scan it in or whatever, then they would count it. So that could be too, because these movies came out 99, 2002, 2005.
Well, it's an awful lot of, we're talking like a huge jump in that. So yes, it's probably weird that they got voted down, but we don't know who did it. We don't know, for what reason. All right. So they talk about, they said at present, the audience score is 66%. And all this stuff.
66.
And then, we're 66. So go down.
Maybe that was the point.
So they're talking about the patterns are exactly the same. Go down. This is just the patterns between what happened with Revenge of the Sith and what's currently happening with Acolyte are exactly the same. No. Almost as if in this era, Star Wars timeline has some kind of curse.
Wait.
Because it was 100 years before the prequels. The Acolyte, they're both falling victim to the intense review bombing with no clear motivation.
Because it's a terrible show.
Yes.
That's the motivation.
And to be fair, a lot of people didn't like the prequels. And they thought it was terrible, too. So that's probably why they reviewed badly.
Let's do a prequel to the prequels with the same kind of stuff that George did that we didn't like before. A bunch of Jedi standing around and talking and blah, 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 blah. But let's do it worse.
So, like, The Acolyte is currently sitting at 13% audience score, in stark contrast to the critical score of 84%. Well, I love how these outlets are like, when they don't agree with the critical score, that's completely different, And then they said that it's the lowest, rated Star Wars project in history, even more than the infamous Star Wars Holiday Special. Now, both these projects, of course, ought to come with a healthy amount of criticism in all aspects. You're not allowed to criticize it, or you get articles like this. The way some Star Wars audiences are responding to them now, just like the way they did 14 years ago, is extremely disheartening. Should come with an amount of criticism. You're not allowed to. Any of Disney's projects, since flipping The Force Awakens, if you criticize anything, it's because you hate women. It's because you're a racist. It's because you're a bigot. A couple people harass actors, which you shouldn't do. And then all the Star Wars fans who don't like it are terrible people who harass actors. You're not allowed to criticize this. I think is this Molly. You're not allowed to criticize this. I want to say Molly. There are similar patterns between the two beyond, the criticism. Wait, sorry. Oh, no, here, I was going to read this part up here. Okay. There are similar patterns between the two beyond just review bombing. Members of the cast are being criticized left or right for their acting. Well, maybe they suck.
What? Maybe it's just not good. Maybe it's just not good.
So far, there should be a lot of criticism, but you're not allowed to criticize the acting if they're good or not. Members of the cast have been criticized. Okay, they said the minute details such as Ki Adi Mundi's age, where they literally retconned it.
Right.
Are being blown out of proportion. Now, I think people are blowing out of proportion, but the point is they're peeing on your shoe and telling you it's raining, And you can't criticize that. So we can't criticize changes in lore. You can't criticize acting. It's utterly shocking to witness.
Oh,
that's what's shocking.
It's not shocking.
Wow. But both these projects, of course, ought to come with a healthy amount of criticism in all aspects. You said that. Okay, we're just re-quoting that. But you're not allowed to. What are you allowed to criticize? You can't criticize the acting. You can't criticize lore change.
So let me tell you what is actually going through this author's head. Hey, Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Write me an article calling out the Star Wars fandom for their toxic behavior, one that will get a lot of clicks and has the following buzzwords. Mm-hmm.
Probably. Then go down. It's time for the Star Wars fandom to grow up. This behavior accomplishes nothing but divisiveness in the fandom. Oh, go ahead before I lose it.
I was just going to say, that is going to be the title of the video. Star Wars fans told to grow up. Told to grow.
This behavior accomplishes nothing but divisiveness within the fandom. Big fuck you. Big fuckity fuck you. You know why? Because since stupid Force Awakens, you're not allowed to say anything. There's no criticism that's allowed to be a criticism unless you like the movie and then you have like little nitpicky things. And then you're okay. You have people like you, meaning Molly. I think it's Molly, have divided the fandom more than anything. Because what's going on is, besides the movies being crap, they're allowed to be crap. People are allowed to think so. But you aren't allowed to think so. As soon as you disagree, you're a insert bigot, istophobia something here. They have spent years calling the people fans incels, trolls in caves, mom's basement, all this shit. They have done everything they could to divide the fandom. On purpose.
Joke's on them. We lived in California. We didn't have a basement.
There you go. So I'm just saying, they're constantly going on about the fandom and all the toxic fans, and they've done everything they could to cause division. And then when you finally start getting something together, like with Mandalorian, people are liking it again. It wasn't getting enough clicks and headlines. You had to cause more reasons to be, we had to fight them somehow. If you don't like something, it's because you're a bigot. And then they start dividing. The divisiveness in the fandom boils down to the fact that the Disney sequel trilogy sucked ass, had no plan, and it was all over the place. And people were like, what the hell? You pleased nobody by the end. And then the media.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I do not believe. I mean, just like I'm, people think that we're like raging over Star Wars itself. I don't
not even that. It's about this shit that I get mad about.
I don't give a shit. Disney Star Wars to me is not real Star Wars. I don't enjoy it. I don't watch it. I dipped in for The Mandalorian and I'm like, yeah, okay, it was fine. Then they ruined that too, right? But whatever. I learned my lesson. I'm not going back. Even Andor. I heard Andor was good. I'm not watching it. I don't care. I don't think these journalists believe this either. I think there are people on social media that believe it, but I think these journalists are so desperate that they're going to take the anti-position just to get people riled up, just to, I got to read this article to see how, look at, they're calling me a big, God, I hate it. Did you read this article? Yeah, you need to read this article too. Everybody read this article because these guys are desperate for clicks. And I think they're angry. I think these people are angry because a lot of the quote unquote vitriol is coming from YouTubers and YouTubers are going to stay employed and they're not. I think there's a lot of issues going on.
My thing here is the fact that they keep attacking fans. It's divisiveness because you're a shitty person. No, it's divisiveness because you're a shitty person.
There are no fucking fans left. Yeah, that's the problem. That's why all this shit is rotting at Ollie's. That's why nobody's buying the Disney Star Wars shit. They're buying original trilogy stuff. But they've chased the fans off. They're like, grow up. Yeah, guess what? They did grow up. And they were like, yeah, I'm too fucking old for toys. I'm too fucking old for Star Wars. I'm not going to fucking watch it, buy it, support it. See ya.
Well, here they're going to shame you more. Okay. So the most discouraging part about all this having to come to terms with the fact that the Star Wars fandom has not yet learned from our previous mistakes. Everyone should have learned from the renaissance of the Star Wars Prequel trilogy that approaching projects with hate leaves nothing but lost opportunities and divisiveness. Yeah, well, the fans were the ones who didn't learn that. Those who grew up with the prequels were ashamed for it really, and we're ashamed for it really should know better now. Hopefully those aren't the same people who are going after the Acolyte in such a way. Well, the Acolyte is nowhere near as good as the prequels, and that's saying something. So,
I know, right?
A wave of this vitriol and hatred has done nothing but harm those within and even outside the fandom. Where? How's it harm people outside the fandom? And the lesson somehow hasn't been learned.
Cite examples. There are no examples. That's why I'm like, is this AI generated in part? Because I'm like, you show some examples. And so help me God, you better not use Kelly Marie Tran was harassed.
Oh, they probably will.
And Moses Ingram was harassed.
They said that there's a stark difference between disliking a project and taking time to review bomb it. So we've learned you cannot criticize acting. You cannot criticize lore changes. You cannot go and give it a negative review if you don't like it because that's mean. If you dislike it, you have to not, review bombing it. But you know what? Well, but if you liking it doesn't give you reason to review, to try to alter the reviews to the positive either, but people are doing it. Criticism is normal, except you're not allowed to have any criticism. Criticism is normal and has and will continue to make positive changes when it's delivered correctly. This, however, accomplishes nothing except infighting and deep hurt. Again, suck it, bitch, because you know what? People were mad about this stuff, and you don't understand, like, if you didn't like it, you were called. I got called an internalized misogynist by some guy who wanted to argue with me about Rey, and then when I didn't agree with him, he called me a C word in Spanish. And after he told me I was the misogynist, okay? This is the kind of shit, I can tell you a bunch of other people deal with the same kind of shit. And then you're like, so you're not allowed to criticize it. You're supposed to make positive changes, but you're infighting and deep hurt. Well, a lot of people were infighting because people keep writing articles like this.
I don't think she is writing this article. The first sentence of the last paragraph, this is what ChatGPT does when you ask it to write an article. It says, in summation, or in conclusion, or in whatever, in sum, it's time for Star Wars audiences to be better. And it's been that time for many, many years now. I think this is AI generated. So not only do I have suspicions about this article being potentially AI generated, but here's the reason this person's so ass mad. Molly Brazel is a Star Wars editor for Screen Rant. She graduated from college in 2021 with a communications degree. During her academic career, Molly earned several awards and honors for her writing. Most recently, she had the chance to work as a passenger services crew member aboard the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser.
Oh, she's the one that wrote the article about poor Galactic Star Cruiser employees. Her favorite media is Star Wars. Wait. Molly has been a Star Wars fan her whole life. The Mandalorian is her favorite, but she's been a fan her whole life. Well, I guarantee you, since she only graduated in 2021, she wasn't even around when this stuff was popular.
Yeah, so this is what I'm saying. Like, the prequels were over and done with. She was a child. Like, you weren't there, Molly. You don't remember what it was actually like. And I can tell.
I was, Molly.
So many of the people that are getting so angry now, like they go after Nerdrotic, he's older than we are. He was there for the original Star Wars, right? The whole fucking trilogy. He was the right age for that.
We were too little.
We were little, but you know what I'm saying? I very distinctly remember the drama around the special editions. I very distinctly remember, because I was actually active on the forums at that time, I very distinctly remember what went down with the prequels. And a lot of people at first didn't hate The Phantom Menace. That came later. But even then, don't even compare it to Revenge of the Sith, because most people consider that one to be the best of the bunch, hands down. It was the best of the prequels.
Oh, wait, that's one of your favorites.
It actually is. I actually like, and I'll go on record saying that. I've said it before. I actually like Revenge of the Sith better than Return of the Jedi.
Now, see, I don't care for the prequels, which is okay. And you were still married. Oh, my God, we didn't get divorced? I mean, because we don't agree? I mean, holy shit. It's like people can have opinions and still get along. Our
son grew up, to him, Star Wars was Clone Wars and Lego Star Wars. But he watched Clone Wars.
Lego Star Wars.
He loved Lego Star Wars, and he used to call Dooku. He used to call him Darth Cuckoo. Darth Cuckoo. And we used to play with the little action figures. It was fun.
He had a bunch of the what were those little ones?
The Galactic Heroes.
Yeah, Galactic Heroes. Yeah. Let's go back to her lovely article, so I can shame her more. So you know, you can't criticize. Criticism's normal as long as you criticize it in the way she thinks is okay. Yeah, so basically, you know, everybody hates this stuff, and now the Acolyte, and this has caused so much harm. And Acolyte can have varying reviews amongst the fandom and still be accepted as real, true, and valid edition. So there you go, that's it. I hope one day the movies and shows like the Acolyte can have varying reviews, but still be considered part of the franchise. Basically, you're allowed to have criticism, but you're not allowed to have criticism. You're allowed to have criticism, but you're not allowed to give a bad review. You're not allowed to criticize it for lore. You're not allowed to criticize it for bad acting. At least this person didn't throw in that you're a racist, you know, whatever, and you hate women.
Yeah.
Like the other ones do. But it's stupid. What can you criticize that? What can you criticize?
Things that these writers don't personally like. This is like, look, these writers have come in, and a lot of them are younger, because only younger people would work for the very low amounts of money that these blogs are paying now, right? They're paying, I heard like $3 an article is what they're paying at Screen Rant for some of the articles. But I'm like, they're coming in and they're treating this media outlet like their personal blog. And this is why I think Google is booting a lot of the search results from sites like Screen Rant, whatever, because they're just like, yeah, it's just your blog. Take it to Tumblr. Mm-hmm. You know, this isn't actual news. This is you using a platform that you didn't build to just shit on people you don't like, that you've had like Twitter
I mean, she's trying to be like, oh, we all should just get along, and it's like, you know what? But here's the kicker. But the kicker was that we did.
We did for the most part.
That's just it. Like, you know, we're from an era that you don't have to agree on everything, but you can find common ground to agree upon. That's why he likes the prequels. I don't like the prequels. And yet we still get along fine, and we're still married because we find other things we do like that we both agree on. I can still appreciate that he likes things that I don't like, and vice versa. The problem is he isn't going around calling me, you know, some internalized misogynist because I don't like this new stuff. And I'm not calling him a racist bigot because he doesn't like something I like. It's stupid.
It's
lame. I also understand that if you have a valid criticism, you're allowed to criticize. If you think the acting sucks, you can say the acting sucks. If you think that it looks cheap, you can say it looks cheap. If you want to give it a negative review, by golly, you are allowed to give it a negative review or positive review. I'm tired of this. The division isn't because of this over the Acolyte. Honey, sweet cheeks, it's been like this since Star Wars put out The Force Awakens, and those who didn't like it were immediately called names. Day one.
Yeah, that's the difference. The difference is when it turns into personal insults. Back in the day, I mean, look, we used to all argue over which was the best Star Wars movie. I remember magazines coming out, and I think it was like Cinescape or something. One of the magazines that came out, and they had a whole big issue on why Return of the Jedi wasn't as good as Empire, and they were just kind of venting. Comic book nerds, any kind of fan of any franchise, they've done this for years. The new wrinkle is turning it into a personal attack on people who like something or don't like something. And it's got then even taken that a step further. It's not just attacking the person, but actually trying to call them like bigots and racists and homophobes and stuff. And that's the new wrinkle. That's where it got really weird. And it's because we have a whole generation of stans. They're not fans. They're stans who I think their own personal identity is so tied up in a piece of media that they did not create. right? Like, and they actually take it as a personal, like I've been trying to figure out for years, like why do these cartoon stands get so upset if you make fun of a show? Because their identity is tied up in the show. If anybody should be upset, it should be the showrunner. There are cases where we've roasted the hell out of a show or a movie and like the showrunner doesn't have us blocked, you know, because they know that's part of the business, right? You put stuff out there and people like it or don't like it or whatever. And sometimes, look, people have actually put things out there and they've been like, yeah, I made a terrible movie. You know, I tried, it was shit. Next time I'll try to make a better movie. But it is what it is, and you move on. But these people are just like, their identity is so wrapped up in this stuff. If anybody should be crying, it's George Lucas, but he's crying into his fistfuls of money he took from Disney. Mm-hmm. And that's why he did it. He didn't give a shit. $4 billion. Somebody came to me and said,
he does give a crap.
Well, he does. I mean, he keeps saying stuff, but I think he made a deal with the devil. You know, the devil wears mouse ears. But yeah, this is lame. This explains everything. Like, okay, you worked on the Star Cruiser and you graduated college like 3 years ago. Yay. Do you want to talk about some other Acolyte news?
Yeah, you can real quick.
Okay, so Leslye Headland, not sure if she's going to get a season 2. I don't think she's going to get a season 2. Who knows? Supposedly they're doing a season 2 of Andor and like nobody watched Andor.
Yeah, but it didn't get like the hate that this is getting.
No, that
was also diverse, just saying.
Well, they didn't promote it. They didn't promote Andor at all. I think if they were like, hey, we've got a spinoff of what is arguably the best of the Disney Star Wars movies, and it's, you know, and it's actually, you know, feels like legit Star Wars, you guys should watch it. But they're too busy promoting Ahsoka and too busy promoting all the shitty Marvel shows. They didn't do anything for Andor. But they said in Entertainment Weekly, they said you mentioned a possible season 2. So not knowing when you crafted the show, how many seasons you were going to get, did you craft a firm season finale like Obi-Wan, or is it teeing up for more stories like Ahsoka? And she's like, oh, yeah, you want to leave it wrapped up, but there's also enough for more, but I don't know if there's going to be a season 2. I took the approach, I threw everything in the season 1 because who knows what's going to happen. And then I'd say there are 4 or 5 major mystery or plot points that have to get hit on season 2, but until we get a proper pickup, so it hasn't been greenlit yet. I worry that spending a lot of time in that world, especially being in a period where I've worked so long in this project that I'm exhausted coming out of it, to kind of jump into it like, all right, season 2. I don't know if there's going to be. I mean, Disney's going to look at this. They are cutting back. I think the only reason this thing got put through anyway was because it was too far into production. Mm-hmm. And it cost too much. And there were actually other articles out there talking about how every episode of this thing cost more than Godzilla -1. And are they going to get the return on this that Toei got on Godzilla? Hell no.
Probably not.
Hell no. They're not even going to sell the damn action figures, but they are selling the helmet. Smilo Ren, or they're calling him Darth Teeth.
Yeah, they call it Darth Teeth.
Is that his real name? I don't think that's his real name. I think they're calling him the Stranger.
I don't really care. I'm calling it bullshit. Shit. That's what I'm calling it.
So they're selling the helmets. They're taking pre-orders for the helmets. This is very curious. They're not making the same mistake that they made with the Riva lightsaber, where if they failed in public, everybody could see it and make fun of it. They're taking pre-orders because it's not shipping until over a year from now.
Yeah, more than a year.
And that's estimated. It might be later than that. Over a year from now. So this is very much a HasLab type thing. But they're not doing it through HasLab because you can see the numbers, and I don't think the numbers are going to be good. I'm just because that would show you.
Well, the price is cheap too. I think, relatively speaking, for something like this.
Yeah,
it's an electronic helmet too.
Okay, I'm just like
HasLab would have charged more.
I don't know. Yeah, people are calling him Smilo Ren. Whatever.
It's digitally rendered images too, not even. Real.
Oh, this isn't even the real deal.
Nope.
Maybe they could sell it as an NFT or something. I don't know. Are these rings? Is that what, like coil? I don't know what this is. I don't care. That's the thing. Everybody's like, oh, the fans are. It's like, no, what's going on is every time there's another fiasco like this, you chase the fans away. You're telling Star Wars fans to grow up. Well, most of us are. Most of us are in our 30s, 40s, 50s.
Yeah, we didn't graduate from college like 3 years ago.
Right. And we're taking our money with us. And that's why Disney's freaking out. And that's why all these people are coming out of the woodwork trying to simultaneously shame you for not liking these shows and also shame you into like coming back. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not very good instead. Like,
you have to watch it, but you can't complain about it.
You have to watch it and buy the merch, bigot, but you can't say anything about it. Just shut the fuck up.
You're just further dividing everyone. It's like, no. See, that's not what happened. People turned their backs on you because, one, the product has been shit, but two, the behavior around people in the media, in social media, in Lucasfilm has been shit.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to wrap this up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Grow up, everybody.
Think what you've done.
You think about what you've done. You've made Smilo Ren sad. We might have to turn that frown upside down. You can do that on a render, right? Just turn that upside down.
Yeah, you can actually. But yeah.
All right. We'll see you later.
Bye.